Hi, I'm sharing my daily personal style for winter 2020. Today I'm wearing something really like trendy, like high-waisted jeans. Um, like it reminds me of like model at any decade. So I love that trend, and the high-waisted jean, like at first it didn't look flattering, and then I found the right pair, and like my favorite is from Last Call Neiman Marcus. Number one, because of the color. I like the really dark, rich blue indigo jean. And then I had a little stretch. The ones I'm wearing are called NYDJ Alina ankle jean. And the price is so good. Like the first pair I bought was in like winter of 2019, and I thought I got a great deal for $31. I mean, and then the price on top of discount code sale, I paid I think like $21.95 for these. So and then I paired that with my Stella and Ruby earrings. I don't know if you can still get it. Products like come and go on Last Call, and then on the internet. So I paid $10.50 for these, and I got like more than 10 pairs, and I gave them away as holiday gifts for my children's teachers. So that's that. I don't know why, it reminds me of like either like Game of Thrones or like The Crown or some show with royalty. And then my blouse, I'm gonna clip in. My blouse has like really big puff sleeves because that seems to be in. And I actually got this blouse at La Pulga over a year ago, a year and a half ago. And then I'm wearing a cognac brown color ankle boot from a comfort brand called Rockport. And you can get it, I believe, at Macy's. I got mine on DSW, but they have their own site. It's called the Linux boot. They also have another similar in color and style called the Camden. So I'll show that to you. Look at that. I'm gonna put on my jacket. I have a light army green colored, I think twill blazer from Banana Republic. I really like this color combination. It reminds me of like, I don't know, I don't see it, I haven't seen it, and I see it coming like color combinations similar to this on like the runway, and it reminds me of like fruit for some reason. It doesn't remind me of the 70s, it doesn't remind me of the 80s, but like something in between that, something about the colors. I like to try experimenting with like a darker green and a lighter pink and mixing around the various like, shades of the color. And it seems to pair well with the earrings. And then if you wanted to do a purse, like for me, I just found that if I added a brown purse to match my brown croc belt or my brown ankle boot, I think it'd be too much, too fall winter, and I feel like pushing spring, so I'm gonna wear like an off-white, like a pebbled leather hobo if I were to wear this. And I got that at La Pulga too. So this is more for like inspiration. I wanted to talk about, I talked about my necklace a lot, and it sounds like I make commission, but I know no one. And it's called, it's not even flipped right. Gabby Riel Planet Pave. And it's like Planet Crystal Pave Pendant. Like 40 bucks. Now, the reason I like this is because it has a little star, and it's detached from the planet. And although it looks like it's trying to say it's like Saturn or something, it reminds me of how I just never felt connected. Kind of like 1 foot, I say, like off the earth, like almost gonna float off the earth. And the more I thought about it, why I liked it and made me feel so comfortable, it reminded me of when I was a kid and I got my first real bike, like brand new from the bike shop a couple towns away. And when I got the bike, it was like a peaches and cream banana seat bike. And I took that bike and I rode it as far as I could from home, my apartment. I rode past my friend's house, and I rode past my elementary school, and I rode my bike so far, I thought I was looking for my friend's house that I'd been to for birthday once. And I rode so far that every house started to look the same, like tract homes. And I got lost, and this is before pagers and cell phones, and so I didn't know what to do. I was just going in circles. So I walked up to someone's house and I knocked on their door, and a woman, just a stranger, answered the door, and I said, "I'm lost," and I started crying. And she called the police, and the police came, and he put my bike in the trunk, and he told me I had to sit in the back seat. There's like no room for feet back there. And it's like, if I'm a kid and there's no room for feet, I'm like, where are the grown-ups putting their feet? Like, in the back. And anyway, so he said, "Do you know where you live?" And I hadn't moved there recently, and I couldn't recall my address. So I said, like, take me to like a fast food place, like a franchise, like Landmark. And from there, I directed him to my apartment. And it wasn't like I had a lot of supervision. My mom and my dad probably weren't home, so he just dropped me off. There was no paperwork. There was no report. Didn't make it on Facebook. Like mommy, daddy shaming. Didn't make it on the news. It was just kind of something that happened in the 80s. And I was just like a wanderer. And then I remember when I got my first car, like my first real car, it was, imagine like a 16-year-old girl with like a tricked out Ford Taurus, like all white, just black windows, Godfather speakers in the back, gold trimming, and then like these 3-spoke silver rims with like gold, what a lot of people told me were called Dayton Eagles, like flying in the middle. And I used to like blast on my street intersection, like The Power of Love by Celine Dion. And I really took advantage of the Godfather speakers. So anyway, I would, late at night, I'd go for a drive, and I'd drive real far. And this was before like MapQuest and having a cell phone and using your map app. And I would just drive really far on the freeway, far east, all night long. I mean, I didn't really have a curfew. It was like, get your butt home like early before you can go out and get in trouble and get pregnant or something. And I would just, alone, just drive in my Ford Taurus, drive far east on the freeway, well past the towns that I was allowed to drive in or familiar with. And I just kept driving. Probably didn't have more than like 40 bucks cash on me. I drove and I drove until I was further east on the highway, and I got tired. and I fell asleep in a Denny's parking lot. Like, just terrible, like, dangerous things to do when you're a teenager. And I woke up in the morning and I drove back home, and I probably got in trouble as usual, but it just reminds me of how much of a wanderer I was, and I was always like searching for something else, I guess, or running away. And then at some point, I learned where the limits of geography was, and like the limits of where I can go, I don't know, in the world. And I stopped wandering around, and I led a very stationary life in mind, body, and spirit. So much so that I, metaphorically speaking, like, after I wandered around and drove around, I went back in the cave, passed up the people in the living room in the cave, and like walked downstairs to the cave basement, kind of became like a loner. Stayed away from organizations, any clubs that would like make me interact with people that it felt like it was forced. It wasn't natural. And so, I mean, didn't do anything on the weekends, socially, like, quiet, sometimes with my sister or something, or my brother, an occasional friend, but mostly kept to myself. And then until I had like children and a family and a relationship. But then, so I thought I was stagnant. But what I realized was I never stopped wandering. I never really stopped exploring, because I was doing it with my mind. And I don't know what I'm looking for, but always like reaching. And it kind of reminds me of like jigsaw puzzle pieces. Like, I look at it this way, like, I lived on a little jigsaw puzzle piece, and I was looking for something to connect with, like an idea or an organization or a place or a country or a friend or a career or a hobby, and I just couldn't find a connection, because I was not just in the cave, but I was in the basement of the cave. I was never gonna find a connection. So also, in speaking of jigsaw puzzles, I find that if you are a parent or an uncle or an aunt or friend and you want to do something special with a child, as cliche as it might sound, puzzles, they're amazing. Like, literally, a puzzle piece, you have to like take a good look at the edges, where it's round, where it's concave and convex, and you have to like look at the pile, like a dirty pile, like a mixed up pile of pieces, and like think about what you're looking for, and then just try out pieces. Like, so I look at it this way. It's like experimenting for children. And you like try out pieces and you try to make it fit, and you just keep trying, and then you start realizing, I think I have a purpose. I know what I'm looking for. So then you have a better idea, and you make connections. And I think it's like a great precursor to like experimenting, and like a precursor to theory, thinking outside the box, like knowing your puzzle piece, knowing it to a T, the edges, the outline, and like searching for something to connect it with without like knowing it. Like, you have a pile of stuff you have to look through. And I just think it's really important in many ways. And plus, it's just something like really fun you could do with your child. And then, like, if you make a connection, then your area, your space gets a little bit bigger, and you're making more and more connections. And like, maybe that's what I was doing. Like, I was trying to like reach out and make a connection somewhere. But anyway, something to think about. And then if you want to get like really crazy, if you want to like think like collectively the Earth, planet Earth, the people on the Earth, like if we're like one big jigsaw piece, and we're like looking for somebody or something to connect with out in the solar system, the universe, like across time and space, it's kind of like first you have to like know it really well, the convex, the concave, lining, the people inside it, to a point where you kind of have an idea of like how to connect, what you're looking for, like the kind of piece to connect with. And I'm still working on that one. Those kind of thoughts are like, I guess would be in like the rough stages of thought. But that one's a really fun thought I like to think about, because if collectively as a planet, like of people, souls, we figure it out to a degree where we can know how to look for another piece and connect with another piece. And it may not necessarily be just taking a bike and riding it out far as you can go, or your Ford Taurus and driving it as far as you can go, or like a rocket. But maybe there's a different way to connect. So something I'm working on. Anyway, blah blah blah. If you want more style inspirations, like color combinations, like the 80s, 70s coming back without looking too costumey, and trying to make it work contemporary in 2020 and in the suburbs, keep watching. I hope you like my MacGyver sound system. I even changed up the color of the hair tie, because yesterday I had red and I thought it would not be flattering with my outfit. So anyway, that's how vain I am. Thank you.